Our Crew 7 mission has 4 different astronauts from 4 different countries and 4 different space agencies.
All 4 of us are so proud to represent what is possible when we come together. The main purpose of the International Space Station is to perform science, and that comes in many different forms. My name is Jasmine Mogbelli. I'm the commander of NASA's SpaceX Crew 7 mission to the International Space Station.
My name's Andreas Mogensen, and I'm the pilot.
My name is Konstantin Borisov, and I'm a mission specialist.
My name is Satoshi Furukawa. I am a mission specialist.
We're in the Lunar Curation Facility here, and this is where the moon rocks are stored. And I'm super excited about the upcoming Artemis missions because we're going to go back to the moon, we're going to go to the South Pole, we're going to bring back different samples this time. Studying moon rocks is really important because we can learn about the moon, we can learn about Earth, we can learn about their history, their birth together 4.5 billion years ago. And we can also learn about the solar system and the planets within. This is a clean room facility, and so that means the air gets filtered and we have to wear these special suits. And the moon rocks are stored in these cabinets that are filled with nitrogen. And we do that because we want to keep them safe from Earth water and Earth atmosphere and of course germs and all sorts of other weird things. And studying Apollo samples, the moon rocks we have here, will help us to understand what we can find there and what kind of tools we need so we can collect more samples and bring them back to study for the next generation of lunar scientists.
Our Webb Space Telescope captures a cosmic ring, the team behind our upcoming Psyche mission, and the unique thing about a star that was ripped apart by a black hole. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. Our James Webb Space Telescope has observed the Ring Nebula in unprecedented detail. Formed by a dying star throwing off its outer layers as it runs out of fuel, the Ring Nebula is one of the best-known examples of a planetary nebula. It is relatively close to Earth at roughly 2,200 light-years away. Our Psyche spacecraft is targeted for launch no earlier than October 5th to a metal-rich asteroid also named Psyche. A new video series called Behind the Spacecraft highlights several members of the Psyche team and their contributions to the mission. The videos are being released on several of our Jet Propulsion Laboratory's social media platforms. The mission could help answer fundamental questions about how rocky planets like Earth form and about the formation of our solar system. Astronomers used our Chandra X-ray Observatory and ESA's XMM Newton to study material believed to be from a star that was ripped apart by a giant black hole, an event being called Assassin 14Li. The relative amount of nitrogen to carbon astronomers found indicates that the material weighs about 3 times the mass of our Sun, which would make the star in Assassin 14Li one of the most massive ever seen ripped apart by a black hole to date. The Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope team has begun integrating and testing the spacecraft's harness, the electrical cabling that functions as the telescope's nervous system. The harness provides power and commands to Roman's instruments, enables different parts of the telescope to communicate with one another, and helps the central computer monitor the telescope's functions. Roman will survey billions of cosmic objects and help untangle mysteries like dark energy following its launch by May 2027.
I don't think people realize is that this is a national laboratory. If you look around, on the walls and every one of these bays, there's another experiment essentially, or a systems rack that actually keeps the space station operating.
This place is incredible. We've had astronauts living and working on the space station for over 22 years of continuous presence at this point, and it's really an honor to get to continue that tradition.
Thank you very much for all your help this morning.
Thank you for all your help today, and I'm excited to learn more about what we're printing here and see how it goes.
For the last 2 months, I've been working on a lot of experiments, and I recall working on heart tissues. I saw some heart tissues beating in space, and it was incredible. These tissues are receiving medication on board the station, and this can help us develop some medication for heart diseases on Earth.
So Tom, we see that top one beating. Yeah, it looks like happy heart cells.
Every day is truly unique and different. We could be doing anything from spending all day in a glove box working on science experiments to doing science on ourselves.
And this is not a fashion statement. This is actually part of the science we do up here. I actually have a whole suit with a suite of tools that are measuring part of my biometrics. So we are our own experiments as well.
This is actually a cylindrically shaped airlock that we have the capability to put small payloads inside of and send them out to space. So this is our launcher that deploys these small satellites. There's a spring in the back, and that provides the force to launch the satellites.
I think humanity has an innate desire to explore. This is one big part of our constant exploration as humanity.
I'm Guy Bluford. I was excited about flying in space. I really wanted to climb into this vehicle and rocket off.
We have ignition and we have liftoff. 32 minutes after the hour and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
I decided as a kid that I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. So I chased the dream. Going to NASA was an opportunity to learn about space. And so I was never awed by the difficulty, I was awed by the opportunity. When you get on orbit, you realize how really small the planet was, that this planet is the only place that you can call home. One of the things that I wanted to do is not only be a role model for African Americans on the ground, but also be a leader in helping pull other Black astronauts into space with me. I'm very grateful for those who come before me, but also those who have helped me along the way.
A new crew heads to the space station, a major storm spotted from space, and a robotic spacecraft enabling human missions to the moon. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. On August 26th, a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft launched to the International Space Station on NASA's SpaceX Crew 7 mission. The next day, the four-person crew, including NASA astronaut Jasmine Mobelli, arrived at the orbital outpost and were welcomed aboard as part of the station's Expedition 69 crew. They will spend about 6 months conducting research and technology demonstrations on the space station to benefit life on Earth and future Artemis human exploration missions to the Moon and eventually to Mars. External cameras on the space station captured views of major Hurricane Idalia on August 30th, not long after the storm made landfall near Keaton Beach, Florida, as a Category 3 storm with winds of about 125 miles an hour. At the time, Idalia was moving north-northeast at about 18 miles an hour toward the southeast United States. Prior to landfall, the system had reached Category 4 storm status with winds of about 130 miles an hour. Data from our Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, or LRO, was used during a recent training session to help familiarize the Artemis II astronauts with what they can expect to see from lunar orbit on their upcoming mission around the Moon. The training involved scientific visualizations to help them identify lunar landmarks, geological features, and areas of interest for future Artemis moon landings. LRO has returned a treasure trove of scientific data during its 14 years of observing the Moon. August 30th marked the 40-year anniversary of NASA astronaut Guy Bluford becoming the first African American to fly in space. He flew aboard Space Shuttle Challenger on the STS-8 mission, the first night launch and night landing of the Space Shuttle program. Bluford was a member of NASA's 1978 astronaut class, which included the first African Americans, the first Asian American, and the first women astronauts. Our SpaceX Crew 6 mission safely returns to Earth. The tech demo hitching a ride on our Psyche spacecraft, and studying ancient life on Earth to better understand Mars. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. On September 3rd, the 4-person crew of our SpaceX Crew 6 mission, including NASA astronauts Stephen Bowen and Woody Hoberg, climbed aboard their SpaceX Dragon spacecraft and undocked from the International Space Station. They returned to Earth very early the next morning, splashing down safely in the waters off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida. The international crew contributed to hundreds of experiments and technology demonstrations during its 6 months in orbit. The no earlier than October 5th targeted launch date of our Psyche mission to a metal-rich asteroid is less than a month away. The Psyche spacecraft will have a hitchhiker on the trip, a laser transceiver for our Deep Space Optical Communications or DSOC technology demonstration. DSOC, the agency's first test of high-bandwidth optical communications beyond the moon, aims to show how lasers could increase data transmission rates far beyond the capacity of current radio frequency systems used on spacecraft today. Members of our Mars exploration program and several international partners recently went on a field expedition to the Western Australian outback to study some of the oldest confirmed fossilized life forms on Earth that may be relatable to Mars. Both planets may have had similar pasts, so learning more about the evolution of Earth may help us understand what we find now and in the future as we search for signs of ancient microbial life on Mars. An MD-90 airplane was recently flown to Boeing's Palmdale, California facility to be converted into the X-66A experimental aircraft for NASA's Sustainable Flight Demonstrator project. The X-66A, which will utilize a fuel-efficient transonic truss-braced wing configuration, supports the U.S. goal of achieving net zero aviation greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. A new long-duration spaceflight record. Our SpaceX Crew 6 mission is back home, and our asteroid sample return mission is on target. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. On September 11th, NASA astronaut Frank Rubio completed his 355th day on board the International Space Station, surpassing the record for the longest single spaceflight by a U.S. astronaut, which was previously held by NASA's Mark Vande Hei.
Frank, you've made all kind of records.
Agency leadership congratulated Rubio on the accomplishment during a call to the station. By the time Rubio returns home on September 27th, he will have spent about 371 days in space. The crew of our SpaceX Crew 6 mission is back home after spending about 6 months on the space station. On September 12th, a few crew members, including NASA astronauts Steve Bowen and Woody Hoberg, talked about the mission during a news conference at our Johnson Space Center. The highlights of the flight included Bowen's U.S. record-tying 10th career spacewalk. Our OSIRIS-REx spacecraft recently made a course adjustment to better position itself to release a capsule carrying sample material from asteroid Bennu toward the designated landing zone in the Utah desert. The capsule is scheduled to make a parachute-assisted landing on September 24th. OSIRIS-REx is the first U.S. mission to collect a sample from an asteroid. According to our Goddard Institute of Space Studies, the summer of 2023 was our planet's hottest summer since global records began in 1880. June through August was a combined 0.41 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than any other summer in NASA's record. This new record comes as exceptional heat has swept across much of the world, exacerbating deadly wildfires, resulting in searing heat waves, and likely contributing to severe weather. For more details, visit nasa.gov/Earth.